Election Day 2022 is here. Let's look at the local races shaping up to have big implications across the Finger Lakes region. Ontario County will have a new sheriff by the end of the day. Democrat Stephen Slavny is taking on Republican David Sorencione. The office has been going through an extended period of uncertainty since the departure of former Sheriff Kevin Henderson. Longtime Sheriff Phil Pavro stepped up to fill the void until the end of year, and an election could be held. The village of Newark could have a new mayor. Incumbent Republican Jonathan Taylor is facing off against conservative David Chrysler. Chrysler has spent his entire campaign focusing on public safety, an issue that some residents say is worsening in the village. Meanwhile, Taylor is focused on racking up wins and long-term vision for the village. The incumbent has secured over $27 million in grant funding, including $10 million from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. The village also has 2 trustee seats open. Republicans Stuart Blodgett and Bob Bendix are taking on Conservative Party nominees Stephen Vanderbrook and Peter Blandino. The top 2 vote-getters will win the open seats. The outcome of these 2 races could have major impact on growth and momentum in the village, especially when it comes to state grant funding. There are also 2 open seats on the Clyde Village Board. 4 candidates are facing off for those 2 open seats. Democrat Paul Ferrandino, Republicans Brad Schimpf and Mark DeVito, as well as conservative Michael Hemmings, are vying for trustee seats there. And how about one more community with 2 open board seats? Voters in Fayette will decide which 2 candidates serve on town council there. Democrats Donald Kane and Walter Adamson are appearing on the ballot, along with Republicans Tom Murray and Keith Tidball. The race for mayor in Ithaca has been one of the most intriguing in the region. Acting mayor, Democrat Laura Lewis, has faced stiff competition from the right and left. Republican Zachary Wynn and progressive Katie Sims are challenging, and there's good reason to see the race as a big unknown. Just last week, city employees turned out in force to tell City Council not to approve a budget because they feel City Hall has not negotiated in good faith with them. They blamed City Council for low morale and high turnover within the city's workforce. The town of Hector has contested races for supervisor and 1 town council seat, and the same can be said for the towns of Troop, Fremont, Cohocton, and Tyre. And finally, voters in Yates County will decide who the next coroner will be there. It's the only countywide election taking place as Democrat Jason Johnson squares off against Republican Jonathan Vandermark. And now let's take a look at the biggest contested races that will shape state government over the next 2 to 4 years. All of these contests or districts include or touch parts of the Finger Lakes region. First up, New York State Assembly seats in the 126th, 130th, and 133rd districts are on the ballot. The contest in the 130th, which includes much of Wayne County, features a rematch. Democrat challenger Scott Comegys is taking on Republican incumbent Brian Mantolo. The former Lyons town supervisor has enjoyed a multi-term stint in Assembly and is heavily favored. In the 126th, Democrat Bruce McBain is taking on Republican John Lamons Jr. This district includes part of Cayuga County. Next up, we have contested races for New York State Senate. Districts 48, 52, and 54 are all on the ballot, with familiar names appearing on most. In the 48th, Democrat Rachel May is taking on Republican Julie Abbott and conservative Justin Coretti. In the 52nd, Democrat Leah Webb is taking on Richard David. And in the 54th, we've got a rematch. Democrat Keenan Baldridge is taking on Republican incumbent Pam Helming. May, Webb, and Helming are all favored in these 3 contests. Let's shift gears and take a look at congressional seats up for election. Redistricting has had a huge impact on their makeup and really complicated the primary process. That said, we are now at the general election, and several noteworthy names are on the ballot. The 23rd and 24th districts are the 2 being watched most closely here in the Finger Lakes. The 23rd, which includes much of the southern tier and western New York, as well as a sliver of the Finger Lakes, we have Democrat Max Delapia taking on Republican Nick Langworthy. Meanwhile, in the 24th, which used to only consist of the northern portion of the Finger Lakes, now encompasses nearly all of it, Democrat Stephen Holden is challenging Republican Claudia Tenney. Tenney isn't a traditional incumbent. She changed her residency status after redistricting took place to run in the 24th. That said, Tenney is a well-established brand in Congress for Republicans. She's favored heavily heading into Election Day. We've got 4 high-profile statewide offices on the ballot today as well. They will undoubtedly get the most airtime as voters cast ballots. The race for governor, which features Democrat Kathy Hochul and Republican Lee Zeldin, has shown to be closer than many expected a couple months ago. Over the summer, polling gave Hochul a 15 to 24 percentage point advantage, depending on the poll. That lead shrunk significantly between September and October, leaving only a single-digit lead as crime, public safety, and the economy became the biggest issues voters cared about. Similarly, the contest for Attorney General and Comptroller will have big implications. Incumbent Democrats Leticia James and Thomas DiNapoli look to hold on to their seats against Republican challengers Michael Henry and Paul Rodriguez, respectively. The same can be said for the U.S. Senate race between incumbent Democrat Chuck Schumer and Republican Joe Pinion. For the latest on all of these races, as well as results throughout the night, click on the story on the top of our homepage.